Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second live stream for Underpin Change and Growth Consultants. Had so much fun on Wednesday. Really enjoyed doing it. So what I thought I'd do today is go through one of my standard presentations that I do. I've done them at business expos and local networking groups and regional networking groups. And I always try to make them as interesting as possible. I guess I'll let you decide whether that's a thing that is true or not. But today, the live stream is going to be about saying no. And the reason why we say no is so that we can say yes more. So if you bear with me a second, I'm just going to check everything is working, and then we can get started. Yep, it looks like everything is good. Great. So let's get started. These are two of my favorite facts in the world. No is a complete sentence. You can just say no. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to say anything before or after. You can say no, full stop. And because it's two letters, it's shorter than yes. And so it is probably the shortest sentence you can have. When you're with a business, when you're first starting out, when you're trying to establish yourself as a business, you're usually in a situation where you have limited funds or limited time. And the reason for that is not many new businesses have a big backer or an investor. It's usually one person or a couple of people who have left their jobs and want to be able to start their own business in a way that is sustainable for them. And what happens is when you are like that, you will see any opportunity as a good opportunity, because it's the difference between you not making money and making money. And it's the difference between you paying your mortgage and not paying your mortgage. And so the key thing with just saying yes is it's mindless. And another word that we use at Underpin is a zombie. So zombies want nothing but brains, and they'll do anything to get them. That's not particularly healthy, and it doesn't help them long term, and it's not very strategic. It's all about the now. So the problem with just saying yes is that your business will take on any work, no matter the quality, and only because it was brought to you first. So that means that potentially new opportunities will be left at the wayside because you're too busy or you're too jaded by bad business opportunities. A mindless yes kills business. And the reason for that is if you just say yes to everything, then it's only the order in which they come in that makes a business opportunity worth doing or not. So if you say bad twice, if you say yes to a bad business decision twice, and then you're full up in your business, you have no opportunity to say yes to the good things. What saying yes does is it overcommits you. It means that if you never say no and you only ever say yes, eventually you will be beyond your limits. It means that you're either going to have to do a bad job or you're going to have to let people down. And that dilutes the work and the business that you're doing. It's risky because you're not planning and because you're not being strategic about it. You could get yourself into some really bad situations with some people who are not the right kinds of people you should be working for. Because you'll be working so hard, because you're saying yes to everything, you will be burning out. You will be working too hard. You'll be working 12-hour days, 18-hour days. And because you're doing all of that, the good opportunities that come, they will be missed. This is your capacity. Your capacity is a single square of time, and it's defined and should be defined by you. Do you want to work 6 hours a day? Do you want to work 8 hours a day? Do you want to work 12 hours a day? Do you want to work part-time? Do you want to work full-time? Whatever it is, that's your capacity. It's how much work you can do that is good quality work. This is something I like to call sales bingo. What a lot of people think about sales is they get very disheartened because they get told no quite a lot. And the way I say it to them is, if you've got a large block of contacts or potential opportunities or telephone numbers to call or inquiries to get back to, if you put them on a grid, it would look something like this. All of the white squares here are no's. So if I ring 5 no's and they all say no to me, then that's a failure, isn't it? But if I start in the top left-hand corner and work towards the right, I never got to the 4 red squares that allow me to have work. They are yeses. Are they good yeses or bad yeses? We don't know yet. But by just thinking about sales as, I will do a few calls and I will get a yes, and if I don't get a yes in the first few calls, I'm going to quit, that's not really how it works. If you've got 100 and I shuffle the deck of all those sales, it could be anywhere from 1 to 100. It could be the last one you ring. It could be the first one you ring. You don't know until you get there. So, even if we go through all of the 100, even if we ring them all and we get the 95% no's and the 4 yeses, if we can't work out whether those yeses are good for us by doing what we need to do to evaluate them, then we are still overcommitting ourselves, diluting, being risky, and missing good opportunities. So how do we turn it to this? How do we turn it to the blue ones are the bad ones and the pink ones are the good ones? And what we need to do here is we need to say no to the blue ones and say yes to the pink ones, because the pink ones are going to make us lots of money. They're going to be really good to work with. They're going to be really friendly. They're going to be really happy. That's what we want to be able to do. And that's what this presentation is about today. But this, at the moment, provides us with no particular help, because although we know that they are no's, we don't know why. So we can still overcommit ourselves, we can still dilute, we can still miss a good opportunity, we can still burn out. Another thing that's really important to understand about growing a business is merely duplicating the exact stuff you're doing now but doubling it will instead provide you with 6 bad projects and 2 good projects. It will not provide you with 6 or 8 good projects. What you need to do is ensure that your growth is not doing more bad projects, but doing more good projects. So Warren Buffett, who's incredibly famous and is one of the only people in the world to ever outperform the stock market. He's an investor. He says the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. How do we say no in the right way? We say no in the right way by having good values. And what values are a way for us to understand what our business does and how it does it in the best possible way. And if we can define that, we can decide very quickly and very easily how we do things better. Values give you a good reason to focus on the right things. So how do we get them? Most people will start with mission, and mission is really good, but to be fair, most of the time when I'm working with businesses or when I'm working with organizations and charities, I start with values, because values are the rules by which we will play this game. And for example, a bad value is all I am interested in is making money. Then the rule should be go and rob as many banks as possible, because that's the quickest, simplest, and easy way of meeting that rule and that value that you have created. So having good values that you understand and your customers understand, or your users understand, or your clients understand, will help you understand when to say yes and when to say no. Because when you say yes, it will meet your values. It will meet those rules. And when you say no, it will be because they don't meet those rules and don't meet your values. So, no one picks up a football anymore. Why? because we created a rule that said only the goalkeeper can pick up the ball and everybody else has to use their feet. That creates a good playing field and a fair way to play a game. And that rule allows us to play the game in a way that we aren't constantly starting and stopping, because everybody knows that rule before we start. And if you want to pick up the ball and run around with it, go play rugby, because they have different values and different rules, and they're playing a different game. And that might be the game that's better for you because that meets your values or your particular kinds of skills. How do we get these rules? Well, we make these rules. Sorry, just bear with me a second. I am aware we have an issue with the way that we are streaming at the moment. So bear with me, because we're getting a little bit of a chop off there. And I want to make sure somehow that I can change that. So give me a second. I will hopefully be able to do that. There we go. How about that? That's much better. Lovely. So, what do we want to make our rules? What do we want to make our values? We need to make them simple to understand, and we need to make them realistic so that they are believed. If you've got very complicated values, if you've got values that nobody understands and nobody can believe you, then that's not going to work. So how do we do that? Well, our values are be good, do good, and collaborate. And one of the reasons why we are doing this live stream now is because one of the things I want to do is to do good and to collaborate. So we are working with businesses to change the world and to be better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my own values, because we don't talk about clients that we're working with, because it's not fair on them, and it's not fair to, we have non-disclosure agreements. So we're going to talk about ours. So our values are these. But what does that mean? Well, if we break them down, our values are be good, which means work only when you're passionate, when you can help, work for a fair rate, get paid on time, get paid for your value, and if things change, leave. Do good, that's only work on things you agree with, work with those who need it most, and if you commit, do it. If it changes, leave. And listen, we rarely have the only idea. And then collaborate, work with those who want to help themselves, work with those who have their own ideas, and work with those who listen. So these are the rules that we have as a company that allows us to help people. And what it does is it gives us a tick list every single time we want to work with a client or a customer, whether it's paid or unpaid. If we can go through before we decide anything and say, are we going to be passionate about this project? Can we help? Are they wanting to pay us a fair rate? Can we work with those who can't afford us? If the rest of the values are on, if we're going to do this, can we commit to it? All of those things. That allows us to turn around and start looking at businesses independently before we start working with them. What it also allows me to do is say the magic word, which is no. Because I now know, if we go back one, because I know that we only work when we're passionate, we only work when we can help, and we only work if we get paid for the value that we work for, and we want to help people who help themselves, we can turn around and say the following things. We aren't built to handle this. Why aren't we built to handle this? Because it doesn't meet our values, and we don't think we'd be the best person to do that. That honesty works for the right kind of client for us. And if we don't do that, then they are not meeting several of the values that we have here. This is not something I'd be good at. There are better people to handle this. This doesn't align with my values. I can't do it because the rules I have set don't allow me to. Now, are there better and more positive ways of saying those things? Yes, but from a basic point of view, we say no far more than we do, because I want to do a good job. I want to be good, and I want to do good, and I want to collaborate. And if I'm not able to do that as a business, it's damaging to my reputation, and it's allowing me to, and it's making me work with people who don't work in the way that I work, and that's okay. But most importantly, I can say yes. Yes, we are built to handle this. Yes, because you meet all of our values, we're going to work as hard as we possibly can. I'm going to feel motivated. I'm going to feel positive. This is something I'd be good at. There are no better people to handle this. I've said that to people. And that's not me being arrogant. That's me turning around and saying, I've thought about this. I've looked at this, and genuinely I think I would be really good at this. And it aligns with my values. So I'm going to work really, really hard because this means more to me than just money. And to say yes and to say no is to say this. I have a good reason that was decided before you got here. And so it's not personal. When I say yes to you, it's not because I'm desperate. It's because I've decided that this is good for business, it's good for you, and it's good for me. If I say no, it's because I have a good reason. And it was decided before you got here. That's key too. Now, this is really important. When you've just started your business and you've got no money and you've got no ability to things are getting desperate. And we talked a little bit last time in the last live stream about business forecasting. I need to get sales at a certain time for this to work. I need to be generating a certain amount of money for this to work. But if we go back to that sales board that we had before, picking the wrong company to work with can be disastrous for your business. Picking the wrong company that will work you harder, that will not have your values, that will make you feel terrible, it will make you not do a good job. You're not the right fit for them. To turn around when you're desperate and say no, because you know that there are better yeses out there, you just haven't found them yet. That's true leadership. And that's true running your business. And it's super important that you know how hard this is. And it's super important that you know how many people are unable to do this. You need to make sure that you're delivering what's right for your business. And you need to have decided that before you got going. So, I have never, ever given a discount when someone has asked me for a discount. I have given discounts to charities and businesses. I've reduced my rates because I really want to do something, because it matters to me, because it aligns with my values. It's easy to reduce your prices when you go, okay, well, I really want to do this. It's going to be great. It's going to grow my business. It's going to give me a great case study. It's going to allow me to grow my skills. I really want to work with them. That's great. But if somebody asks you for a discount, or somebody asks me for a discount, I always say no. And the reason is because I won't be passionate. It won't be a fair rate. I'm not getting paid my value. And it's not working with those who listen, because I've told them how much I'm worth, and I've told them that I'm really good at my job, and I can give them case studies and all of that stuff. And if they don't believe me, that's fine. But then to turn around and say, I want you to do it, but I want you to do it for less, that's not fair. And only work on things I agree with. And I don't agree with being paid less for the work that I do. But I can make these decisions. I can say, I want to work with this. I'm super passionate. I'm happy to take less money. I'm happy to work for a fair rate. I decide what that fair rate is, not for you. So how do we as businesses get paid a fair rate, even when people ask us for discounts? We value ourselves as businesses, and we understand how much we're worth. And we've done the research. We've gone and spoken to people. We've had clients who've worked with us previously who have paid a certain amount of money. We have set a price. We've discussed it. We know how much we're worth, and we know how much value we can bring to businesses. We value ourselves. And once a business values itself, everybody else will value it at least as much as that. And people can't value you more than you value yourself. So if you say, I am worth 20% less than what I think I'm worth, then you're worth 20% less. And the problem with offering a discount is when you have given someone a 20% discount, they don't want the same price next time. they want 20% off next time as well. So now you're down to, I don't know, 24, 25%. And that keeps going and going and going. And the reason is because you haven't set yourself as let's say you charge £100 an hour and you say, okay, well, I'll do it for £80 an hour. You haven't set yourself as £80. You've set yourself as worth 20% less than what you're charging. And so when you charge 80, next time, they're going to want that same 20% off again. And that's a difficult thing to get out of. So my advice for customers always is, we can do incentives, we can put things down if we want to, but we can't reduce our value to the customer, and we can't reduce our prices. Once we have submitted them, we don't do discounts. Which part of this project would you not like me to do? I have said this, and no one's ever actually took me up on it. So if someone's turned around and said, you know, I put in let's pick a random number, I put in a proposal for £15,000, and they've turned around and said, I want this to be 20% cheaper. I will turn around and say, okay, great, we can look at that, but this will not be the same project that you are looking for. We can take little bits off here, we can not do as much research, we can do this, but here are the negatives and the positives of doing that. Positives are, you're paying less money, but the negatives are, with less research, you're going to be less you're going to be less thoughtful, you're going to understand your clients next. This is what we're going to do. The reason I've put this particular quote in for you at this price for this work is because I think it's the right thing to do. And I am happy to walk away rather than reduce the amount of money that I'm going to get for it, because I value myself and I value my business. I won 3 contracts in 2023 by saying no directly to the client. There was one client who asked for a discount, and I said, I'm really sorry, we don't discount. I believe in the value. I've gone through and told you all the things that we'll be doing. I think this is a more than fair price, and I'm more than happy to pass you on to another person who may do this for cheaper, but this is what we have. And they immediately turned around and went, no, it's okay, I want to do it. They wanted to ask, and I give them a good answer, and that's the end of that. Can that come across as being arrogant? Possibly, but I don't do it with an arrogant intent. And actually, and this is potentially what we're going to be talking about in the next live stream, is understanding yourself and not worrying how other people see you, because you have good values and you understand that you are only in control of your own world and not in control of other people's, is really positive. And then secondly, I won every contract by saying no indirectly to someone at some point. And I think that's a really important thing to know. Saying no to one person opens up the world to the rest of the world. And that's great. A direct no. Can I have a discount? No. In 2023, directly led to £18,000 in orders from 3 separate clients. An indirect no. I don't feel comfortable working with you, frees me up to work with someone who I do feel comfortable with. And being communicative and being positive and being open with your clients on this will make you seem more trustworthy, will make you seem like, well, you know, I get it, I understand, don't agree with it, but at least you're not lying to me, at least you're not saying things I want to hear. I think that's quite important. I know people out there who would disagree with me on that, and it's all about the sell, and it's all about the highlighting the negatives and trying to get people to get on a particular system or plan. That's not how I work, and on this, it's worth knowing. I am not the only voice on this. I'm not the only opinion on this. This is the way that I've run my business for the last 6 years. It's been successful for me. It's been a regular growing organization. It does exactly what I want it to do. And that's because I have my values that work for me and allow me to run the business that I want to do. This is not about use my values. This is not me telling you your values must be my values. Go and find your values and go and find customers who have the same values as you and tell them about it. That's what I'm trying to say. So an indirect no is an indirect yes, because an indirect yes is I'm still open, I'm still ready, I'm still finding the right person for me to work with. So As I said before, growth is not doing more bad projects, but doing more good projects. Finding your own values and sticking with them will gain you a reputation for being trustworthy, because people will know why you're doing this. Why are you a florist? Why are you a care worker? Why are you a business consultant? Why are you trying to create new technology? Because your values say, this is what I want to do. And those values should never be, I want to make money. Obviously, money is important. Obviously, we all need to pay the bills. But just doing work because you need to pay the bills is not a good reason for a customer to use you. You need to provide them with real, genuine value. And toot your own horn. Please toot your own horn. Don't be shy. If we go back to the slide a few minutes ago, it says people can only value you as much as you value yourself. And so go and find the things that, that work for you. For me, that is doing local and regional networking events and all of those kind of things. And they get me good consultancy scores and good Google reviews. So there we go. That's today's live stream. I really enjoyed it once again. Definitely going to be doing more of these. I hope it's been useful. As always, if you want to put a comment in this video or any of my other videos on what kind of questions you want me to ask, if you want me to go into more detail, if you want me to clarify anything, please do get in touch, because the only way that I can get better and the only way that you can get a better experience is by turning and telling me how I can do this better. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you on the next one.